This is a continuous improvement movement reserved for the few with the grit to prove it. Everybody.
Good morning. This is Maria, and I am here with Calvin Williams, and this is the Ticket to Freedom podcast, where we discuss continuous improvement as it pertains to current events. And today we are going to talk about an article just released by Media Outreach, and the article is titled Seaco appoints Workato to drive operational excellence and exceptional customer experience. Calvin, this article talks about companies like Seaco are turning to workflow automation to drive operational excellence. What is your take on that?
I think it could certainly help, like many tools in the Lean and Six Sigma toolbox, OpEx toolbox. It is a tool, so it's not a substitute for good leadership. It's a way to find and take advantage of improvement opportunities. Now, I look at OpEx not so much as hunting and gathering for specific improvements, but more creating a structure and an ecosystem where improvements become part of the culture, right? You're cultivating improvements like a farmer more than a hunter and a gatherer. So there's that, but certainly I think workflow automation has a ton of potential to orchestrate standardized processes throughout an enterprise. And when you're talking about automation, hopefully you're automating some non-value added tasks, whether they're necessary, hopefully necessary and non-value. I don't think you want to automate any straight non-value added tasks. So a lot of back office operations can benefit. Invoicing, we're talking about email sequence automation, we're talking about quoting, we talk about a lot of the administrative tasks. I'm not sure if it has as much application on the side of the more mechanical work, like putting product in a box kind of work where it requires more mechanical force. But certainly on the administrative side, there's plenty of opportunity.
Helen, I love that analogy that you gave, the hunter-gatherer versus the farmer, because operational excellence is a mindset. So if you have the right mindset, it is even easier to implement and get results out of tools like workflow automation.
Absolutely.
So for Seaco, this workflow automation is expected to save more than 3.5 man days on every transaction and over 17 man hours over the course of 3 years. So what do you think about this type of result? 1,700.
1,700. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a great number. Anytime you can redeploy your people from tedious, highly repetitive, low thinking, manual work, sometimes it's dangerous even, right? That really repetitive work. And you can deploy them toward more higher value work where they get to be more creative and make a bigger impact on the company's productivity and strategy and all those things. I think you've done well for the company. So like I said, I think this has a lot more application in back office type operations where you've got approvals that are needed, you've got forms that need to be completed. What's really great about using software as opposed to more manual processes for situations like this is software has the built-in poker yolks, let's call it, where it has a set of form fields that you need to complete. And if the right format isn't used, it will not allow you to pass it forward. It has, hey, all the criteria needs to be satisfied before the document or the item in the workflow process can move to the next step in the process. So a lot better process quality control you can build into the process, right? A lot of companies operate on, relying on legacy knowledge and human, I just know how to do it type of knowledge. You can kind of take a lot of that knowledge out of folks' heads. And I know that's a big deal, big conversation right now between boomers and Gen X and Gen Zs and the rest, millennials. You can take a lot of that knowledge out of people's heads and put it into workflows. and creates a much better opportunity for business continuity.
I agree with that. So bottom line, do you consider that this type of workflow automation, this type of technology can contribute to a more agile and responsive enterprise?
I think the potential is certainly there. It's a million times easier to go and reconfigure a workflow than it is to go and change human behavior. And especially if you gotta go and change a lot of people's behaviors, right? Much easier, you can adapt much quicker. Now, I say that with a caveat, and that caveat is that if you are changing workflows at scale, you better make damn sure that the change you just made is a change for the better. Because as humans, doing things manually, we can do things at a small scale. We can try things out before we go big, right? With software, and you could tweak a single workflow and add incredible cost and waste to the organization's bottom line, right? So the skill you got to develop with that, since you're doing things potentially at large scale, especially for bigger companies that do a ton of administrative work. The skill you got to get good at is being able to test things in a more responsible way, right? Minimize the risk, measure the outcome, make sure beyond the benefit of a doubt that this is better than what we were doing before in all the right ways, before you lock it in and scale that process up to a larger application. So can it make a company more agile? Absolutely. As with anything, the magic is in the how. Certainly be careful about going too big, too fast, and test well.
Yes, this speaks to other conversations that we have had when it comes to technology, that you have to do a risk assessment, you have to do a pilot before you deploy at a large scale, you have to train people. The best practices still apply for any technology implementation. So
Absolutely.
with that, I think we can say that this is a great tool to help with your operational excellence journey. It does not change the fact that you have to work on the mindset most of all, create that farmer mentality of getting everybody involved in improving something important every single day. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Ticket to Freedom podcast, and we hope to see you again tomorrow. For daily news on operational excellence and how it relates to current events, check us out on the Ticket to Freedom podcast.
Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay up to date on the latest developments in continuous improvement.